Hey guys, welcome to this week's Mastermind here. My name is Alan, and over here we got my buddy
Anthony. Hi, welcome.
And today's topic is a very interesting topic, at least for us. I mean, it's probably very boring for you, but it's something that we deal with every day. And then we've actually, it's about traffic. And we're going to be discussing cold traffic today. It's going to be a 3-part series, and we're going to do a deep dive today on just the aspect of cold traffic. But Anthony, before we start talking about cold traffic and what it entails, actually, let's talk about what it entails.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what is cold traffic.
So cold traffic, the greatest question ever asked. So cold traffic is any traffic that or audience that has not interacted with your business, your product, your service yet. It could be anybody from your friend to a guy on the other side of the world. There's all sorts of cold traffic. So, to generically put it, it's anybody that hasn't transacted with you, whether it's something free or a lead or a purchase, just no transaction or interaction with your company.
So cold traffic is intimidating.
Yes.
You want them because they're the people who have your money. Grant has a saying, "Who's got my money?" Yep. They're the first people that are going to have your money because they don't know you. Now they're that person that you have to introduce about your concept or what you're selling or program you're offering. Yep. And you want to have a lot of cold traffic. You want to be able to have such a big audience that you can target them. So I think one of the things about when trying to figure out what you're doing is, do I have a big enough audience? Do I have a big pool of cold traffic of people who know me? Or when I also say people who don't know you that are also qualified to purchase from you, right? So let's say I'm a licensed person in Idaho that I'm dealing with high net worth people from age 60 to 70. Now my cold audience, even though there's a lot of people who don't know me, when we say cold audience, there's a lot of people who don't know you that are eligible for your product.
Yes.
So let's kind of explain a little bit more of what is the first thing. So now we wanna start targeting them. We understand who our audience is. What's the next step?
Well, I think the next step, believe it or not, in cold audience is something that has to do with what we're going to talk about in the next 2 parts, is setting up to receive your cold audience. I find this is one of the most common mistakes practiced by marketers and people that advertise for their own business, is they start to go after cold traffic and they haven't prepared the infrastructure of their business, their landing page, their website, their call center for the influx of it. And then what they're going to do, because you don't want cold traffic forever. You want to keep trying to get cold traffic. Right. So it's about setting up the infrastructure for your future audiences. This means pixel placement, email response, any other type of forms of retargeting and contact that you're going to set up further along the line. That actually happens as the cold traffic push is created. They happen simultaneously.
Because it's equally important to reach them, but also transition them to the next audience. That's what he's saying. So we want to take them to cold, to warm, to hot, right? So we want to make sure our pixels are in place correctly so that when that cold audience is basically setting up the foundation. So once we have the cold audience come in, they saw our product or our video, they didn't convert, but you know what? They watched 90% of the video. Now they've been educated to your product and have gotten slightly warmer. So I guess the number one step, Anthony's right, is set up your assets, make sure everything is ready to receive the cold audience, the cold traffic.
And then then you get into the fun part. You get into the discovery, into the branding, the awareness, and trying to figure out who your cold audience is. And this requires lots and lots of testing, because we mentioned in the previous episode, you may not actually know who your audience is. And when you're dealing with cold audience, 8 billion people on this planet, the very unique situation of Idaho, 70 years old and high net worth, a lot of other businesses, they feel the same way, but realistically they have millions of people in their audience, and they have the same type of setback. So it's really about segmenting your cold audience and testing each segment properly.
I think you're not, like he said, you're not going to know, oh, for sure it's going to be this topic. So here's the thing. When we're talking about setting up these ads, we're probably most likely going to be talking about Instagram, Facebook, Google, YouTube, right? Google and YouTube are the same. So in it, there's options, right? So there's topics, there's interests. So let's do a test.
Okay.
What do we want to test?
So with the topics, you know, some of the main ones is you have your competitors, you have interest-based topics, and then you have just generic interests, competitors, and then age, gender, location. These are all different types of segments. You can mix them up and you know, you can combine them, you can exclude them, and all that. But for a test, I don't know, what do you guys have a product for us? You want to test?
Stem cells.
Stem cells.
Oh, you want advanced level?
Right.
All right. So cold audience. So is it stem cell therapy?
Yeah. So okay. So stem cells. So the next question we would ask, let's just freestyle it. How old are people getting stem cell? Probably older, not 20-year-olds, maybe 40, 50, 60-year-olds, right? Because it's about pain, wellness, anti-aging.
Yeah.
So now our interests can be certain age group, and I would test it. Like, we don't know. We would start a certain age group. We test certain keywords. So Facebook has this option where we could probably search stem cell, right? It's a big interest in there, and we'd see what the group, you know, the size of the audience is, and I would test probably another 10 different audiences.
Yeah, you can go based off the age. If I know correctly, stem cell is not the least expensive thing that you can get done medically speaking. So you know, you could target based on income. Like you said, age,
location,
like, you know, you have Miami, LA, New York, places where that type of thing is focused on so much, a lot more. And then
sports medicine.
Another thing is if you have injuries, and these are all these are targetable. Is that a word? That's a word, right? Yeah.
Targetable.
Targetable. Yeah. Targetable. Targetable through Facebook, through Google, you know, YouTube, and Instagram. You can target these audiences, and you can do them. We do them individually all the time, each single one, and then which one has the best results. Okay, maybe we can do a combination of the two, but we just target all of them and we run through all of them.
So I think what's important is the idea of cold traffic is to cast a big net.
Yep.
So we don't know what works. We just listed off 6, 7 interests, and this is how we brainstorm. We would say, okay, who's our ideal client, our audience, right? When we talked about the previous time. And then let's target certain areas. Now I do stem cell, but I have a shop, and what's the likelihood of someone driving 20 miles to come get the service? So we would also target a certain area. And then now that we have all our pixels in place and everything is in place, the whole idea is to test to see what stuff sticks, what doesn't stick.
Yeah, and when you're doing all this, it's most important to keep. You're going to start transitioning into warm traffic. So to keep these ads running, and while you're testing, it's very important to remove yourself from these ad sets, from these campaigns that you're running. And by removing yourself, what I mean is excluding the traffic that you're already hitting. It'll help lower your frequency cap, and you can just keep running this ad. You know, eventually you're going to hit a wall if you have certain demographics that are just too small to handle an ad running continuously. And then plus tests are going to run out, things are going to change. But you want to remove everything about your business, your URL, your pixel. Make sure that is pulled out from your targeting.
So another term for cold traffic, this is a newer term. It's called a seed campaign. Yep. So just imagine a seed. So all we're doing is running stuff to get. So aside from conversions, which we want them to buy right away. But a close second is engagement. Engagement can be clicking on the link, scrolling on your site for a while, watching a video for a certain amount of time, and that is equally important because that becomes your new audience. And a lot of times a professional marketing company, agency or in an office will have a full-time running seed campaign to feed its other campaigns. So it's like the intention is pure value, is like, here, I'm going to show you this video, or I'm going to show you this product, or something that might not even have a huge call to action. I'm not really trying to make money, but hey, look, this is the benefits of stem cell. Stem cell is not a impulse buy where you're just going to sign up for $15,000. It's probably like 10, 15 grand, right? It's not something where you're like just sitting on the toilet at work and then clicking on a stem cell. You got to get worked on that. But I got to first know what stem cell is, so I got to get educated. So it's usually a pure value play. Yeah. Watch this, and I promise you, probably the people who only watch 7 seconds of it are not going to convert later, or at least right now. But the person who's watching 80% of it, 90% of it, that's the seed that we're talking about. We're planting and hopefully getting to fruit a little bit later on.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, with this, the pure value as well. A lot of cold traffic, like when you're actually generating these ads, no matter what it is, it's even if it's a still image and not a video, the value aspect and being a little bit softer on the front end, not quite as harsh, quite as upfront. Like even with Grant, a lot of some strategies are a little, in your face. Even on the when we're running cold traffic, we tone it back just a slight little bit, but we're still gonna.
Look, very basic, a very known thing that people just want to push an offer to your face. And maybe that worked a couple years ago, but now we're in a new age where it's a total value play. You have to, people love, the good news is people are not getting tired of content. People want to see something cool. People want something in your face. People want breakthrough. People want to see something different. And if you can give that message along with your offer, but subtle, and for them to watch it, for them to capture that interest and educate them at the same time, you're almost there. What would be the next thing, Anthony?
Yeah, so we covered who the target is, the segment, or how to segment to try and find your target, removing yourself from all these targets. And then what type of content we're showing, the value and what type of action you're going to take and what type of action you want to receive. So that's kind of like that brings us to the next one. What is your true intention needs to be discovered, and this kind of loops back around to the beginning. For instance, like when you're bringing people in the top funnel, end goal is typically all the same for everybody. It's transacting, getting the the conversion. So you need to have that in mind the whole way. So with cold traffic, you want to realize that you are putting them into a funnel. So everything should be thought out that way. And if you're going to have to tell a story and add the value all the way through the process. So.
What else do you want to talk about? Cold traffic, super exciting stuff. You should see the excitement coming out from our mouth. I'm just so nervous, so excited. So now we have cold traffic. The thing is with cold traffic is once we start showing them the video, they're no longer cold traffic.
Yeah.
So there is obviously that next step, and it's probably more complex. The other step, this is just the basic. This is kind of like casting out your nets, seeing who's interested, who's not. I kind of compare it to like, it's a weird comparison, but I'll compare it to this. So let's say you got a bunch of sheep and you got a couple shepherds, but all the sheep are together, but when it's time for the shepherd to go away, the sheep know that shepherd. So it's kind of like getting yours out of the group without spending as much money.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good that you mentioned spend, because well-known fact for maybe not so well-known fact that cold traffic advertising has the most money spent out of all advertising. So targeting, reaching, and going after that cold audience is the highest price tag of all your audience. So out of everybody's budget, that is what a majority is spent on.
Well, and here's another thing. So from my experience from years ago, we dreaded cold traffic because we just felt like we were losing money when you use an interest of basketball, But Facebook, for example, I would say specifically has gotten so good we have campaigns that we're running on high scale that are just using interest. Usually the whole concept is get them cold, get them warm, get them hot, but Facebook is already kind of making it warm. It's not that broad of an audience when you're using Facebook, for example. Another feature, people always, I see memes about this all the time, is when you talk about cat food. Let's say we both have cats here. So when I'm talking about, I got to go buy some cat food, and then all of a sudden I see an ad on Facebook or on Instagram about cat food, and that is a real thing. So Facebook has that feature where they're listening to keywords, and where do you think that goes? That goes in interest. So I own a cat food company, and I'll go to my interests and I'll say cat food. You know what? That's pretty, even though that's a cold interest, I just talked about cat food and I get hit with an ad. I might convert, I might buy it. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a good thing. It's convenient. Cold audience, when you're delivering value, like you're saying, you shouldn't be afraid to go at. That's 2 times in a row. When you're going after people that don't know you, you shouldn't be afraid. Like if you're giving them value and you're going to help them and you believe in your product, you should not be afraid of going after a cold audience. And when it comes to the spend on cold audience, definitely shouldn't be afraid because it's relative. Because once they are warmed up, they will convert. The next 2 parts of this are going to dive a little bit deeper into when you actually start making the conversions happen. But right now, you got to look at cold traffic as like a billboard. You have 1,000 people, million people driving on I-95, driving by your billboard all day long. You don't really know if that one person in that gray Chevy bought that ticket. You know that if sales start to go up in that area, it's working. So it works the same way online. You got to spread a big net out into the internet world out there on the line, and conversions can happen on cold traffic more times than not.
And I think your example of the billboard. So if you're not spending money on cold traffic on Facebook, you're spending it on TV, radio, or billboards. The only difference between all those is that if you don't sell anything on a billboard, I can tell you how many people looked at it. You really can't say, you can say how many people drive by a billboard every day. You don't say how many people looked at it. Or if you watched a commercial during a CNN show, it can't tell you how many eyeballs actually got on it. It can kind of give you a rough estimate how many people had the TV on, but my TV is on right now for my cat. So it doesn't mean I'm watching it, it's skewed. But with Facebook, I could say, hey, we didn't get any sales, or our sales are not that good, but you know what? People are watching the video, or people are clicking through. They're not converting, so it could be something else. Or people are engaging, they're asking questions. So if anything, you have such a pool of data that it's going to help you on your next ad or your next segment.
Yeah, and recognizing how to see that type of that data. Me and Johnny were looking at some YouTube ads earlier, and ones that you don't think are necessarily performing well, you'll see that there's 100% view through rate, and we're at 65-70% of people watch an entire 3-minute long video. Those are decent numbers. Those are great numbers. You would want anybody to finish your entire ad. So it's not always about there's only 300 clicks on that. You're getting very good results by getting those eyeballs and having them engaged the entire time. Because then when you go on I go check soccer scores, and next thing I know, I get an ad for what I saw a YouTube video of earlier, and now I'm no longer cold traffic. I am now warmed up, and I didn't know I needed that 10-foot high cat house, but now I have one.
Mine, I just got one too.
Yeah.
But mine is they call it a condo, a cat condo.
Fancy.
So, what other things can we talk about here? Do we have any questions?
Yeah, they're talking about if cold traffic is the people who watch but don't buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to watch and not buy. You have a hot audience that don't buy. Mm-hmm. It's, people, there's a psychology behind it, right? So people buy on emotion, or whether they're convinced, they trust issues, right? So it's depending on the product, it could be $1 product. And that's why a lot of times we have, even for cold traffic, it's the path of least resistance. So we have, they're called tripwires or split, what do they call it? Splinter,
Splinter, I think
Tripwires.
splinters and
Yeah.
tripwires. It's like very, very subtle, free buck, $7. You know,
Bumps.
so like I'll give you a perfect example here at Grant Cardone's office. Our big play for our office is, let's say, Cardone Capital investing $100,000. It's not easy to tell someone come invest $100,000. I'll tell you that. I can't strategically run an ad, especially it goes into a fund. There's no revenue from it. So how do we get people to invest $1 million, $500,000? It all starts from a free book. Here's a free real estate book. And this is that Grant wrote, and then now it's a real estate course, and then now it's following his podcast, and now it's going to 10x Growth Conference, spending a little bit more money until you feel comfortable. I could tell you this stat without a shadow of a doubt. 100% of the people who invest in a big fund like Cardone Capital are people who know Grant Cardone is. It's not coming from cold. So you have to be realistic with your expectations. It all matters on what you're trying to offer, and sometimes you got to give a little bit in the beginning to get them in, because they, like you said, they could watch and not buy. So how can I get them a little bit more interested?
Yeah, and to add to that, like what you're saying is, we talk about like money and conversions and stuff, but a conversion could also be that now they have become warm traffic. So, you know, they're technically cold-ish because they're watching and haven't transacted, but they're in the right path. They're in the planned path right now. So that's not a failure by any means. Like that's a win right there. You know,
Or an email, adding them to, let's say, an email.
Yeah, they're being added into your ecosystem. Yeah, thank you. So as long as the more people you can get in there out of the 8 billion or so that are on this planet, the better. Because maybe you don't have that product for that cold audience right now. 2 months from now, you might. Or you generated that audience. Cardone, when I started here, Cardone Capital wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing. A year later, I'm marketing Cardone Capital. Their 10x Growth Con didn't exist. Now we market events. You know, but it's a lot easier to market events when you've already sold thousands of training materials and books and et cetera, and you have a lot of fans, and we have a lot of viewers on the shows, and Grant is traveling around the world, and he's become this huge global icon, and that was all set up from cold traffic. You know, that maybe not paid cold traffic, it was all cold traffic in the beginning, and it's warmed up, and this is what it's created.
So embrace it. I can tell you so many times at the GrowthCon event, people would say, I just started following Grant 3 months ago. Now I'm hooked, and I'm watching this, and I'm invested in this, and I'm invested in that. Obviously, it helps to have a great brand and good content. I mean, that's the one advantage. We were talking about this earlier today. We kind of forget that we have Grant on our side, and he makes it a lot easier for us. As opposed to a startup company or someone who doesn't have that amazing content. Dude, we put everyone to work. I mean, Grant is shooting video all the time, 10, 15 videos. We have videographers. It takes an army to get what we're doing. I know sometimes it might seem easy, but there's a method to this madness, and we respect the cold traffic and the hustle when it entails. And that is a secret, piece. That's the secret sauce. I mean, we don't want to keep tapping into the people who already know us. They're in our system. They're enjoying it. They're in our pond. They're swimming in there. We need to add more fish in this pond, or better yet, just go in the ocean and find what we're looking for.
Yeah, and this is just cold traffic too. We have the other two parts. This is going to seem overwhelming, and scary to a lot of people. The cold traffic and going out and reaching it. That's why you can partner certain organizations that are skilled at this and can do it for you. It's like you were saying earlier, like when you partner with a bigger brand that can help you get to where you need to go, and it makes it a lot easier. That whole process, and takes away the fear of not knowing how to target this huge world.
Who would you partner with? Who are you recommending they partner with?
You know what? I'm going to put my money with 10X Productions and Cardone Advertising.
Yeah.
They do quite a swell job for Grant Cardone, so
One of
pretty sure they can do a
I
good
think
job
we
for
should,
you.
I think one thing we should offer them, for the people only listening to this,
Yes.
is that if you call our office or go to our website, 10xadvertising.com, cardoneadvertising.com, fill out your information. Either myself or Anthony or both will get on a call and discuss some marketing strategies if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Good thing about working with us is we run it like it's ours.
Yes.
You're going to have the same resources that we have here at Grant Cardone will apply to your business. One time, a couple episodes ago, we talked about what cost it entails to run a marketing office or videographer, or having all this editing. It's a lot of work. So it would be smart to look into that.
Yes, it would. And you know what? If you want to see us live, you have your chance at the end of next month. Is it March? Last weekend of March, March 29th, 30th, and 31st, we will be having a boot camp, and advertising and marketing team will be present.
Selling out. It's almost sold out.
Yeah, it is almost sold out.
Yeah.
I think there's less than like
90 tickets left.
there's
No,
that was 2 days ago, man. There's like
50.
it's like 30, yeah.
Something like
We're
that.
in the morning meeting then.
Who were you?
So there's so there's about only 30 seats left, and I mean, if you want to take a glimpse at what it looks like to be at one of the boot camps, you can go to grantcardonebootcamp.com/free. Put your information in there, and you're going to get an hour-long clip. It's actually a training session. It's like the glimpse right inside what it's like to sit in one of the chairs at boot camp, and there's even a special price at the bottom of the page when you get there. Save yourself.
And then business boot camps are great. Talk about deep dive. Talk about you have a chance for a Q&A. You'll be in a room. Talk about networking. You'll be in a room. I think there's 500 people in there, right?
Yeah.
Of big dog people, highly vested in their success, in not just marketing, in business building. And you can go to a guy who has 500 employees and say, what did you do to take it from 6 to 60? I mean, you don't. It's not just Grant or marketers like myself or Anthony going to be there. There's going to be a room full of super successful people at millions, at 500,000, at tens of millions, and 50 million. There's some big dogs there too.
Your cold audience is there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You like that?
I saw what you did there.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, we have Growth Conference 4. We do not know when it is. We do not know where it is. I can tell you it's next year. Probably in January or February, something like that. We don't know where, we don't know who's speaking. I know Grant's going to speak, but the advantage you have right now is to buy a ticket in the front row sections of every section. I think we have the floor seats, and then we have an executive section. But the advantage is if you buy an executive, you can get those front couple rows, which are awesome.
Yep.
And you look pretty good. I mean, the whole idea of commit now and figure out later, I think is a one step closer to the vision that Grant wants for everybody, which is like, just buy a ticket, figure it out.
Yeah.
You're not that busy. Let's put it that way. You ain't that busy.
Yeah, I mean, you have a year to plan for this. Commitment. Once you commit to something, like you're gonna follow through with it. Once you start getting trained on Cardone University, you'll start to understand some of these concepts, and then GrowthCon, you get to see it live. So commit, and if you want a ticket, 10xgrowthcon.com, and you can see all about that, and you can get pick your seats after you purchase and get the best available seats in the house. But one thing I think we almost forgot, we are having a webinar. Grant is doing another exclusive webinar, and it is all about how to increase your income so that you can target more people with cold audiences. So for real, it's about how to increase your income. We're going to do it next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to grantcardone.com/income. He's going to go through everything he did to get to the income that he produces, that he can go to sleep one day and the next day get 2 Rolls Royces in the parking lot. and he's going to show you how to do that and what it took to step by step.
I'm tuning in to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit right there for that one. So that is going to be a very, very good webinar. Every single webinar he does, immense value.
Nobody does webinars like him.
No, nobody does
Nobody.
webinars. You know, nobody does webinars like him.
And how much is it? How much is it for the webinar?
It's only $49 right now, and when
It's a movie ticket.
Yeah,
Just hold off on watching Marvel
yeah.
right now. What is it? The new one? No, there's Avengers is a
Captain
good one.
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I heard that's a great movie.
Is it
But
really? Okay.
the $49 would be a lot better spent on a webinar that could change your life, and you could buy a movie theater if you want. You know,
I like that.
who knows? You know, once you start getting that type of income, you could go sit on the set and watch the thing filmed. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's the type of perks you get when you start getting in income levels like that.
That's 10x level.
That
right
is
there.
very 10x level.
Wow, I
you know?
didn't think of that. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this show. Next week, we're going to be talking about the second phase of this. My name is Alan Lazar. You can follow me on Instagram at Alan, ALAN. Yep, I know. Dope
That's awesome.
handle.
Yes. I'm Anthony Della Carpini. You can follow me on Instagram at a.deli with 2 L's. And thank you for
All right,
tuning
guys.
in.